Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You got DanK, your host, and our friend Peke from Portland with the Mercy Center's
Excuse me, we're from the capital, Salem, Oregon. We went up to Portland earlier in the week.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
Third quarterly meeting of the OMMP.
Yep. Yes, and the one we're going to talk about show 622. So appreciate Peke coming in, and we wanted to find out about the ACMM. Is that the? Yeah. That's the advisory committee to the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program. The idea was to have people that are medical marijuana patients and related to the whole thing. Anyway, being on a special board, and board is the right word, but committee, and then there were problems with the medical marijuana law. They were supposed to be able to have these quarterly meetings and then vent the problems to the state representatives, and then they were supposed to be taken care of. Unfortunately, from what I've seen, the ACMM basically is a toothless tiger.
Yes.
And it and there's a lot of crap going on and not going on, and it just keeps on going, and everybody seems to be just real happy with their ACMM meetings, and nothing's happening.
Well, hopefully with the new head people of the place, we've got another Aaron in charge of the office. And then I think
we should bring back the original Kelly. What was that? Remember the original? The original director was appointed by, and I can't remember the name of the director that appointed her either now, but anyway, she was really fantastic. She was the best director that they ever had. She was really out to help patients, which is a unique thing with the OMMP personnel. Anyway, she ended up getting fired because she wouldn't get her job done. And the thing of it is that they weren't giving her what she needed to get the job done, but then they fired her because she wouldn't get the job done. So Kelly something, I will think of it in a minute. But anyway, it's very unfortunate because we really liked her and we thought she got a really rotten deal. So, well, I'm going to back up. I'll tell you, Peke has been to probably more ACMM meetings than anybody I could think of right offhand, because Peke is part of the Salem TV show by the name of
My Garden. I've been filming that since we've been coming down here.
And he's been filming ACMM meetings for a long, long time too. So that's why
we do have now on a Friday night at 7 to 7:30, and it's 503. It's long distance. 503-588-6444. Ask your cannabis questions or tell us how well cannabis has improved your quality of life.
That's support these guys, and I say that and I keep forgetting. So I need to put that on my, the smartphone has a great alarm system, so and it works really well. So I need to enter that and it remind me to give them a call and support these guys. But anyway, the ACMM meetings. He just went to the latest one. So. And just for the show, he was telling me that it didn't look like anything was really going to happen from this meeting either. So give us some insight of what you saw and what happened.
Well, the only thing I can say was there was good testimonies at the end, and they didn't give you a time limit like some other hearings that I have seen. The one thing, back in May, I talked to my lawyer. It cost a penny, and we found back when they made the Oregon medical marijuana thing, they forgot to look at Section 20 of the Oregon Constitution, where right there it says that nobody should be treated differently.
SSI benefits patients pay a reduced fee of $20. OHP enrolled patients pay a reduced fee of $50.
But it's Section 20 of the Oregon State Constitution where we shouldn't be paying any money.
Yeah, Section 20 specifically says equality of privileges and immunity of citizens. No law shall be passed granting to any citizen or class of citizens privileges or immunities, which upon the same terms shall not equally belong to all citizens. Shall not equally belong to all citizens.
That's us here in Oregon. Cannabis is a wonderful medicine. You don't have to smoke it.
And so, and you say you sent. Okay, first of all, let's back up a minute. Bradley Steinman helped Peke with this, and Bradley Steinman is well known to us all. Great guy. He's an attorney and specializing in cannabis issues.
Yes.
And so that's in Green Business Law LLC is the name of the business. And anyway, this is they wrote this up, written testimony of Peter Kramer, which goes by Peke. And so Peke sent this to the governor, and tell him what the governor wrote.
So after several months, I finally get a letter from the governor, and she says to get in touch with your legislators. So she just passed the buck again.
Yes. On a real nice letterhead. Passed the buck on a nice letterhead. Very nice letter from Kate Brown, the governor. Didn't sign it. Sincerely, Constituent Services Team, Office of Governor Kate Brown. So anyway, that's why we need to go to Salem and go to these rallies when they have them, especially when the legislature's in session. And believe me, it's coming and they're coming. So be ready, because we'll be doing a lot of talking about that, and we're going to need a lot of support. People, as they say, feet on the ground, you know, in Salem, because a few years ago, the tactic was kind of among the leaders of the pro-cannabis group was kind of a be cool and ties and no tie-dyes and no ruffian type of looking, and try to schmooze all these senators and everybody, you know, and we got trounced really bad that session. So it helps. We need rallies. We need people outside making noise and drawing attention. And so we've been to a lot of them in Salem, haven't we?
Yes, sir.
I could tell you stories, but we've never had any problem. The Oregon State Police are the guards, of course, there, and security, and we've never had any problem with them. Been very courteous, and so anyway, it pays to show up and tell it like it is and raise heck.
And look presentable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because on one hand, people say, "Well, I have a right to dress any way I want to." Well, yes, you do, but at the same time, prejudices go with that. So, you know, you've got to be thinking about that all the time too. That's why they, talk about all those dirty hippies, those dirty, smelly hippies. Well, just with the other kind of stuff, they can imagine they probably stink too. So then that's, it just goes on and on like that. But that's one thing about Paul Sanford I always liked. Paul would always show up in a tie, suit and tie, always just dressed up, and I mean, everything's real fancy, but always suit and tie, just looked very presentable. And I had some stories about Paul Sanford, but I don't want to get into them because we do have a guest tonight, and I don't want to get tied up on that, but I want to read these to you, so we'll do them next show. But Paul is having a really unique problem. He had a non-profit business, and then he switched it over to a for-profit corporation, I guess, and anyway, some kind of business tactics. For now, they're doing a takeover, actually taking over everything he has, including his personal possessions. So we'll get into that later, but that's Paul Stanford, and I've been a friend and a supporter of Paul ever since I've been an activist, and it's been an interesting trip. Paul is very dedicated to the legalization of marijuana. He grows a large outdoor grow every year and then gives all the medicine away, and it's just the way he is. And then there's a lot of bad stories. People have stories about how they've been mistreated by him, and he's a swindler and all that. And I had a friend of mine, an activist, that was working with him, and then she quit. Jennifer Alexander, I don't know, you probably don't know her, but she was on the internet and everything quite a bit. But anyway, I don't know, they had some kind of falling out, and I said that I never spoke to anybody that actually had a bad experience with him, and she wrote back on Facebook and said, well, yeah, you do, me. And so I didn't get any details, so I don't know exactly what you're talking about. But most everybody I've ever spoke to, when they talk about Paul Stanford and they badmouth him, and I'll say, well, what was your experience? And well, I didn't have any, but I have a friend of mine that, you know, blah, blah, blah. So,
secondhand.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been mad at him too a few times over things, but I can't ever say that he ever ripped me off in any way. Of course, I've always been the one lending money and looking for help from him, which he has been a help. He's was our sponsor of our Hempfest for almost the whole time that we've been running as a Hempfest. He's been a sponsor. He helped us out with legal expenses on the first part of our appeal of the Parks Department denial of letting us use the Maury Jacobs Park. Paul contributed to got that started. And anytime we ever need anything, I've called him, and he's been there to help, you know. And then, of course, our friend John Walsh, he was John Walsh's caregiver, a grower. And I would go up there and pick up John's medicine and bring it down. But that's quite an experience to see, because I used to the black market and always seeing manicured buds and everything, you know. And so the first time I took John up to get his medicine, they handed me this bag, you know, and I opened up and looked at it, and it's just an old shopping bag, plastic shopping bag, you know, like you go to the grocery store, you know. And I looked down, there's a bunch of branches in there, just what I call blood, guts, and feathers, all still there. I mean, they're just branches that cut off the tree, off the bushes, and put them in the bag, and then here's your medicine, you know.
Yeah, well, you get the whole part of the plant.
I know, that's true, and that's what I'm saying. But later I realized, I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm used to black market and making the buds look good. This is the only practical solution, because after being a grower for one season myself, it's amazing how much work is involved with harvest time.
Yeah. And
where are you going to get people to do that for nothing? It's going to cost money. So this way the patient gets everything, and you know, it was excellent quality. So anyway, I was glad to help John Walsh that way, and it was interesting to see the Paul Stanford's garden and the results of them too. So anyway, I'll be talking about Paul next show, and then we've got to end this segment, and we'll be back very shortly with Peke from mercycenters.org, helping patients and helping them get medicine, helping them get their cards, advice.
Helping you with your garden.
There you go. Yeah. And anyway, we'll get into more of that later, and we'll talk about the Hempfest, what didn't happen this year and what we hope will happen next year. So we always need support. So anyway, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll be right back.
And now a message from the American Marijuana Growers Association.
Hi, I'm a farmer, and I work hard every day to grow high-quality marijuana, the biggest cash crop in these United States. I'd like to thank you for your support of U.S. marijuana policy. Because marijuana is illegal, I don't have to pay taxes. Even better, prohibition leads to artificially inflated prices, which means a better quality of life for me and my family, as long as I don't get caught. Just as importantly, your tax dollars support thousands of U.S. agents who work tirelessly to keep low-grade, foreign marijuana out of our country. So thank you, America. And remember, Whether you're nauseated from chemotherapy or just in the mood for a nice cool buzz, choose the best pot in the world, American Homegrown.
Welcome back to the second half of show 622, and here we are with Peke, our friend from Salem.
Wait a second, Dan. Hey folks, get out your papers, get out your pens. Dan's going to read you some information of events that you should go and see.
Exactly, you bet. And starting off, we have our local Cannabis Science Pub, and that's on the last Tuesday of every month. And that's coming up on September 27th. That's at the World Pies downtown, which most of us know as the Cozmic, at 199 West 8th. And there's free admission, and that's put on by the OG Analytical Company and the Oregon's Constant Gardener Companies. Great community members. You know, a lot of the commercial people are. You know, they're just not service-oriented, they're community-oriented, but these people really are to put on this event once a month, and it's fantastic. They start out, the first part of the program is, well, first of all, they have a certain subject, and then they have a question-answer segment where the MC asks questions, takes answers from the audience, and the first one to get it right wins a prize, T-shirt or something. And they go through that for about an hour. And then they have either a panel or speakers on the subject, and then each one of them, of course, takes questions and answers. You know, so it goes from 6 to 9 p.m. and it's like I said, it's free and it's incredible. Really a great thing.
And where's that being held?
That's being held at the World Pies downtown, or it's called the Cozmic. It's on the corner of it's at 199 West 8th in Eugene, or it's on Charlton, corner of Charlton and West 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, like I said, the last Tuesday of every month. And then Portland Hempstalk's coming, and that's coming on September. I'll just give you this, Peke. I'll just give this to you, and you have the information. And September 25th and 26th in Portland is Hempstalk, and that's going to be at the Waterfront Park, and that's at hempstalk.org. You can check out the website. And I'll be speaking there on Saturday, the 25th at 7:50 p.m. Right before our Normal Bean band plays. The Normal Bean band, Normal's our music guy for the Hemp Fest, and done a heck of a job for many years now with us, and we're still working together, and great guy. And so, and again, the 25th at 7:50. I haven't even decided what I'm going to speak, but I got 5 minutes, so. I'm trying to just figure out what to say. I don't want to get too controversial and tick everybody off, but there's some things that need to be said, you know. So we'll see. 5
minutes ain't long.
No, I didn't. Anyway, and then October 29th through the 30th, Normal Bean is putting on the Harvest Festival, Cannabis in Wonderland, and that's going to be on private property. It's up at Blue River. And that is October 29th and 30th. It's just above Blue River. And there's going to be, the Oregon growers are going to be competing for the Oregon Pot Club Trophy, and a winner awarded in each cannabis category. So anyway, that's going to be something that you're going to check out. And that's at cannabisinwonderland.com/no. I started to say /Blue River, but no, it's just, cannabisinwonderland.com. So check it out and support those people because, like I said, it's a private land. It's very reasonable, and you can camp for the weekend. It's not a bad drive to the best hot springs in the state of Oregon, as far as I'm concerned. Cougar Hot Springs. It's incredible. Anyway, so that's the announcements, and I hope you did get it, as Peke advised, is write this stuff down because you don't trust your memory, get it on paper, and support stuff coming up. So you'll hear about it here when we do have things coming up. And you brought in a copy, I see, of the Oregon Cannabis Connection.
Yes.
And I haven't seen the latest issue. They offered to do a story on the Hemp Fest, and I forgot to get back to them, so we didn't get a story in them on their paper. But
I want to tell you, this was the first year that they had a contest for the cannabis plants at the state fair.
oh yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
Pioneer Pete, you might hear him in the legislature and that, but he put on a festival at the Capitol Mall, which is the park in front of the Capitol. He had 8 bands each day of a 3-day event, but then on Sunday the bands canceled out.
Who did this again?
Pioneer Pete.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, great guy. Oh wow, that's great. Yeah, he's a firecracker, boy. That's great. That is really good. Yeah. Well, that's anyway, the Oregon's Cannabis Connection, and you can find these in most, I think, dispensaries in Eugene. And these are printed by our friend Keith Maurer out of Grants Pass, Oregon, and keeps us up on what's going on. And well, mainly in Oregon, but of course around the country also. But
nationwide as well.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, and one of the lead story is Rob Partridge, Oregon's leading cannabis rule maker, and that's interesting. He's in charge of the OLCC, and so and now I think he's still the DA, and I sort of say ex-DA, but I think he's still DA in Klamath Falls. Anyway, he was against Metro 91. He's a DA, and they put him in charge of the cannabis program. Yeah. So, well, I mean, what's wrong with this picture? You got somebody that's obviously against it, and they put him in charge of it. What could possibly go wrong?
This is why we have to pay $200 for a grow site.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad enough when they ask $50 to have a grow site. But now, if you do this, the gardener has to weigh the leaf as well as the flower, wet or dry, and tell you the difference, and report this on the 10th of each month.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. Yeah. So the when the legalization, I mean, when the medical marijuana law passed in Oregon, and I wondered, I thought, I can't imagine the state implementing a marijuana or program. It's just somehow I just can't see that, but yet they're going to have to. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Well, it passed. It became law in 1998. And it's been a heck of a ride ever since. And the state government definitely does not care about the patients. They
used us as a cash cow.
Yes, the program has been a cash cow. It just goes on and on. Hours, waiting hours, days, up to weeks and months waiting for the card to come back. Things like that over the years that have different problems like that. But the biggest thing is that the idea when the law was passed was they figured that the program would cost X amount of money. They estimated there would be X amount of patients, and then they would divide one into the other and figure out how much they were going to charge for each patient to pay for the program. And so I can't remember what was the very beginning. Do you remember how much it was? Was it 50 or what? Do you remember?
Yeah, at one time there was a $50 fee.
I think it was 50 when it began, and soon they realized that they were getting more people than they expected, and so what they do, they raised the prices. So anyway, they've had the first thing, I can't remember the year, but they took it was $1.9 million. This was excess money that the patients had paid in. They took $1.9 million out of the program and put it into the general fund of the Oregon Health Authority for other programs that were hurting for money. And instead of refunding money back to patients, lowering the cost to where patients are only paying for the program and not a cash cow, as Peke said, that's exactly right, exactly what it is. And they've taken money since then too. So it's so wrong to charge sick people to get their certification and then overcharge them and then keep the money.
Yeah, and then making all this money from the recreational people on their taxes. I mean, like I said in my testimony, we should not be paying for this. The recreation should pay for this, and the patients should get a refund.
Exactly, and speaking of taxation and recreational, I've been saying for years, yeah, I got no problem with taxation, and we tax it, legalize it, and tax it. You know, I said, yeah, that's great, okay. Well, now that we're there, I'm really realizing, wait a minute, no, I don't really support that, because we've been paying taxes since 1937. That's when it was made illegal in the first place, and they've been putting people in jail. They've been fining people. They've been breaking up families. They've been seizing property, and so we've been paying taxes since 1937. And so it's time to stop the taxes, not begin taxing. So I say no tax per pot. It's a plant. I want the controls on marijuana, like growing, controls on marijuana in general, to be like they are on tomatoes. That's the control I'm looking for.
Yes.
People say, oh, it's legalized, it's legalized. Well, yeah, that's true. It is legalized, but it's not really legalization. And what it is just further decriminalization. But you get your mind around that, because there are still penalties involved, so therefore it's not legal.
Yeah.
So, I don't know any penalties you can get for growing tomatoes. I haven't heard of any, but maybe some.
Or having your own vegetable garden.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a plant, and that's what I keep saying. It's a freedom issue, and it's a plant. It's real simple. So anyway, we're running out of time, and it just flies by, especially when we have a guest. And I appreciate Peke coming all the way down from Salem, and that's quite a drive, especially in the heat that's fighting the traffic. I guess traffic's not going necessarily, you're not going too bad. Traffic's going the other way, I guess, aren't they? When you're coming down, they're going up, right?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 hit patches.
Okay, yeah. Unless you happen to hit it when that game is on.
No, you don't try to drive.
No, that's true. Well, anyway, thanks for coming down, and say hi to Perry and Sonny and all our friends up there, and appreciate what you guys are doing up the road.
Thank you, bud.
You bet, thank you. And we'll be back next week in episode 623, and who knows what we'll have, but it's going to be great, so be sure and be here. I will be. Hope you will too.
So
We'll
give us a call.